Hello everyone and welcome back to the Real Positive Girl podcast. My name is Sabrina. Happy Wednesday to you all. I hope that you are having a fantastic day so far, whether your day is just beginning, it's in the middle, or towards the end. I hope that it's going really well. I hope that you're able to accomplish so many things today, or that you already have, and that things are just going as smooth as they possibly can. But just remember that even if you do encounter problems, struggles, just issues, any part of your day, no matter how many times in a row, in a week, in a month, a year, whatever it may be. Sometimes we are in seasons that are harder than others, but I want to always encourage you to continue to push through and know that there is something better on the other side. We probably will never know when the end of that other side is. Even if we can guess, we won't surely know when that end will come. We have to continue to have faith that we will get through it. But I do hope that you're having a great day. And if you're having a hard day, I do encourage you to take the 5-minute reset, which is to take at least 5 minutes to be by yourself. And it allows you to come back to baseline, to kind of just restart your day, and also take the opportunity to release any sort of burdens, problems, issues, stress, anxiety that is just weighing on you. Take a moment to have a breather from all of that stuff. If you are battling a problem that is happening to you like head on recently or in real time, I encourage you to take some time to problem solve that as well, so that when you go back for the rest of your day or the next day or whenever you're going to come back to that issue again, you're able to resolve it with the ideas that you came up with during your problem solving time. I also always encourage everyone to make a quick list of at least 4 items that you are grateful for. Those can be really big things, small things, medium-sized things. You can be grateful that you are able to find a new place to live, if that's something that you're trying to do. Maybe you're grateful that a really fun friend is about to move in with you and you guys are gonna just like have so much fun hanging out together and taking over the town together. Maybe you're really grateful that you're getting healthier from some sort of sickness or disease that you are suffering from. I definitely understand those feelings. Or maybe you're just grateful to have another beautiful sunny day wherever you live, to really enjoy and soak up those last days of summer that are slowly coming to an end if you live in the northern hemisphere. But and then last but not least, for your 5-minute reset, I want you to be able to walk away feeling at least neutral, if not positive, about the rest of your day, because despite what you're going through, and remember, I'm not here to diminish your feelings, but despite what you're going through, you should be able to take a step back and change your perspective and really shift your mindset, especially after listing at least 4 items in your gratitude list, to realize that there are still amazing, wonderful, positive things that you can focus on despite what's going on, like head to head with you right now. It's so much easier to focus on negative things that are happening in your life, because those just seem like the most prominent and are usually the things that are the biggest, the baddest, and more in our face. However, I want to encourage you to focus on the really good things that are still happening despite any negative things that are happening in your life. But I do hope that you're having a fantastic day. Just a reminder that this week we are talking about kindness, and today, Wednesday, we're going to talk about kindness is being honest. So let's go ahead and just jump right in. Today I wanted to speak on how a part of being kind to yourself, which we will talk more about tomorrow, but a part of being kind to yourself includes being honest with yourself. Being honest with yourself is part of developing self-awareness and truly understanding who you are and what you're all about. And if you are new here, I talk about self-awareness and self-development a lot, because I find that it's so important, and it's much easier to live a fulfilled and happy life if you know as much as you can about yourself, how you work, how you think, how you react to different things, and how you can kind of change some of those things to better fit your life, and for you to have better experiences, more positive experiences in your life, and be able to handle more stress and anxiety a lot easier without it just totally crippling you. So I find that spending any time on self-awareness is super, super important. Being honest with yourself is considered kindness because it's one of the most decent things you can do for full life experience and understanding. It also allows you to be more positive despite what you are currently going through, because when you really focus in on, the honest things that are happening with your life. You just tell yourself the truth. You're having those come to Jesus moments with yourself, as some people would say. It's important to just really not play games with yourself. I don't understand the reason why it's so prominent, and believe me, I understand that it does happen often. I used to definitely be in a season of life where I was kind of lying to myself about who I am and what I'm doing, because I am like naturally a people pleaser and a perfectionist, and so I was doing my best to be the best person for whomever I was hanging out with or dating or whomever it is, and I was lying to myself about who I am, how happy I am, how satisfied I am in life, so on and on with that kind of thing. But yeah, it's just being honest with yourself is definitely kindness. You're showing yourself a kindness by just being truthful, and you're allowing yourself to live a fuller, richer life and have better experiences and understanding of who you are, if you're just like really getting down to the nitty-gritty truth with who you are. And you can be more positive because you're not having all of these things hanging over your head of people discovering that you're pretending who you are. And also you just feel more freedom when you're just truthful and honest and just free as a bird, right? The more that I embrace that, the more free that I feel in who I am, and the ability to feel content in that, You are also able to accept your weaknesses and faults much easier because you are more accepting of who you are in general. And with this type of self-awareness, you care less and less about what others think. And who else just wants to care less and less about what other people think? Because that is certainly one of the biggest things that I am trying to get over, move past, and just not care as much. I feel like there will always be a small inkling in me that will care what other people think. However, I want to just have the most full experience I can have with not caring, with just being who I truly am, and just realizing that people can either accept me or they can move on, and that's okay, right? Does anyone else feel like they have that desire, but they just find it so hard because judgment is so crippling and it hurts so much, and a lot of us just want to please other people so we can feel like we fit into this big world and whatever community that we live in. It's so tough. So I understand what you're going through if that's one of your struggles, but yeah, it's so it's so tough. But yeah, so you just want to be able to accept your weaknesses and faults and just be accepting of who you are in general. So here are some more ways you can be honest with yourself, which will also be attributing kindness to yourself. Acknowledge the good and the bad in your life and come to terms with those things as normal and necessary experiences. So I did this, I would say, a few years ago because I've definitely had a pretty rough upbringing. There were definitely some positive points, high points, but there were a lot of negative points. And then as my life progressed through school and college, it got a little bit harder, and then there became more and more bright spots, and it got better. But, I would always try to deny or say that the negative things didn't affect me, and then it took a lot of therapy and a lot of time for me to realize, okay, those negative things, those negative experiences, and the way I grew up did really, really affect who I am and how I became the person that I am. But I want to accept all the bad things that happened to me and all the good things, and not say that it was good that those bad things happened, but that those things happened, and I had a lot of growth and learning experiences from those things that take away to be a stronger person, to be more courageous, to be more understanding of people that also are coming from those experiences and backgrounds. And so I find that to give yourself, to be kind to yourself, you just need to accept that those things have happened in your life. They don't necessarily control you or dictate who you're going to be or how you're going to act in life, but you just know that those are there, those things happened. There's no reason to deny that those things happened, and doesn't make you any less than anyone else. It truly doesn't, despite what people may say to you. It does not. And just know that it's normal and necessary. Those experiences were necessary to your life, which is why you were put through them. So just go ahead and accept that and understand that that's okay, and just move on. You don't have to live in the past, but just accept that those good and bad things have happened. Admit your mistakes and refrain from blaming others for your problems and experiences. A lot of times we try to protect our ego by shifting blame or coming up with excuses, but to truly be honest with ourselves, we need to not ignore any of our negative experiences and face those things head on. So again, things that have happened to us in the past or that we're currently going through, we need to not necessarily ignore them or pretend like they're not happening, or like it's going to be really hard. It's hard when you're like going through the negative things in the moment and you want to pretend like it's not happening, but that is not, like, hiding from it or ignoring it isn't going to make it go away any quicker. You're just you're pretending, you're lying to yourself, you're trying to just throw a veil over the whole thing and be like, okay, this isn't happening, and if I say that enough, it'll become true. And that's just not how real life works. So it's important for you to admit your mistakes and do not shift blame, because it's fine. Just be honest with yourself. You made those mistakes. You don't have to shift blame or like blame others for those problems, or say that it was because of so-and-so, or, trying to divert it away from you. Just accept that you did those wrongs, and that's okay, because no one's perfect. And a lot of times, most of our growth and learning opportunities come from our mistakes and our faults and the things that we don't quite do up to par or up to our standards. And that's the best, because a lot of times we can be taught how to do things, but once we actually try to do it on our own and make the mistakes, it's easier to course correct than someone just giving us tips on how we would course correct if these bad things happen. So just a reminder, don't ignore those negative things that are currently happening or have happened. Just continue to flow through it and know that you're going to get through the other side and take all the learning opportunities you can while you're going through it. Admit what you don't know. This is a good one. Be kind and honest with yourself that you don't know everything and that you don't have to know everything. It's an unnecessary expectation that we thrust upon ourselves that really gets in the way of our courage and strength. Also, understanding our limitations keeps us open to new opportunities and experiences. It's really important to just admit that we don't know stuff. Be kind to yourself. Be honest with yourself. You don't have to pretend like you know everything. And I used to be this person. I have a really big, not big. I have a knack for just knowing random information, because I spend a lot of time reading and doing research and just surfing the net, and that's how I've always been. So I will just randomly know information, or I will randomly Google stuff and just get more knowledge. But then, like, as I was growing up, there was a time where that led me to believe that I needed to pretend like I knew everything, and that was mostly derived from feeling like I was getting pressured to perform and what's the word I'm looking for? To look the best I could in front of adults as a child, because I was my father's only child, and I was kind of like the pride and joy for him and his trophy. And so anytime I could impress adults that he knew, especially ladies that he was trying to date, it was important. And so I had to know a lot of things and pretend like I knew a lot of things, so that I would just be this perfect little creature that he had raised, and be like an example of the amazing positive influence that he could have on even children. And so that positive influence could be on them, blah, 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 blah. So anyway, I grew up feeling like I needed to know everything and how people expected me to know things. And then as I continued to pretend like I knew everything, that expectation continued to grow with other people. And, the biggest ways that I got out of that was like either just making up an answer that felt like the closest thing that could be to the truth, or I'd find like a diversion so that I wouldn't have to answer whatever knowledge that they were seeking from me, or I would find a really tricky way to get the answer in the moment, or delay having to answer, find the answer and then give it to them. And it was just I kind of just fell into this really terrible habit that I don't have anymore. I will freely admit when I don't know about something these days. I do love to do research and learn more things, obviously, because I do a lot of research for the show, but it's just not healthy because eventually you'll just get caught in like not knowing. And I believe that happened to me several times where someone caught me that actually knew more than I did about whatever subject, and they're like, actually, no, that's not true. And I'll be like super embarrassed, but trying to play it off like, oh, okay, well, I just must not have read that, or I must not be up on that new information, or blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean? Where you're trying to like save your ego and be like, oh, no, sorry, I guess I just missed that part, only that part, you know? So I just encourage you, just admit what you don't know, be honest, understand that you don't have to know everything. That should not be an expectation that other people are thrusting upon you, and if they are, that is wrong. And if you have the courage and strength to do so, you should talk to them about that. If not, I would just try to take a step back and not maybe engage with them for a little while, and then until you are able to talk to them about that and ask them to realize that that is not who you are and that's not who you want them to think that you are. Avoid overanalyzing and rationalizing. Take the time to be more real and face problems head on, which I've kind of talked about facing problems head on already a little bit, but I wanted to make sure that you don't spend too much time overanalyzing and rationalizing things. You need to be honest with yourself, just rationalizing reasons why you allowed yourself to do this, that, and the other. Like for example, for me, like that would be like shopping. It'd be like, well, I bought this thing because of these reasons that aren't real reasons. They're just like made up reasons. When in reality, I could have just not bought that thing and I could have just moved on, or I could have just been honest and been like, yeah, I just wanted to buy it because I thought it was cute, or I thought it'd be really helpful for me, or, you know, I just really felt like I needed it. Even though that sounds not true. Like, if you know, you just need to be honest with exactly how you feel. Don't make up a reason why you not rationalize away like the reason you spent all this money on this thing just to make it sound like it was super important or absolutely necessary, when it could have just been like an impulse buy or just something that you thought was cute and that you thought that you could just buy it and just have it. You know what I mean? Also, don't overanalyze. You're just causing yourself undue stress. You know, take some time to review, you know, kind of think back and kind of think about stuff. You know, take some time to just review easily in your mind, but you don't want to come down on yourself too harshly. And I want to say more about this, but that is our last point. So again, overanalyzing and rationalizing will just steal time from you, steal energy, create more stress and anxiety for no reason. So do yourself some kindness and avoid those. Lastly, take time to reflect back on what's going on in your life, but not too harshly, like I mentioned in the other point, but enough to understand what you need to improve on and what to continue growing on. So there comes a point where you can review and reflect back on your day on the daily, or maybe do it per week, and then doing it regularly through the month, so that you can figure out like what you feel like you're killing it at, what are you crushing, what do you need to put a little bit more time and effort in, what do you truly feel like you're actually failing at. And don't be too harsh on yourself. Don't come down on yourself to make you feel like you're a piece of crap or anything like that, but also don't elevate your ego too much and be like, I'm the best in the entire world. There needs to be like a happy medium there, and then you can take some time to figure out what you need to work on and what you will need to continue to grow in, and what maybe you don't need to spend so much time working on because you kind of mastered it. But just be true and honest and real with yourself. But like I mentioned before, don't overanalyze. Don't take too much time to really look at like 20 different reasons why this isn't working. And if you need that kind of help, I encourage you always to ask for professional help, because you know, you could sit down and think of 20 or 30 different reasons why this thing is happening in your life, but honestly, I think that you would actually save time and energy if you just ask a professional to help you kind of map it out really quick and figure out what you need to do going forward. Well, guys, that's it. I feel like this episode was a little bumbly, but I hope that you understood what I was talking about with how being honest with yourself is a kindness to yourself. Like I mentioned, that tomorrow we're going to be talking about showing kindness to yourself more specifically. But thank you so much for listening to the Real Positive Girl podcast. Again, my name is Sabrina. I really hope that you enjoyed this episode today. And if you did and you think someone else you know would enjoy it too, I encourage you to share it with them. Again, thank you so much for sharing the show, for listening to the show, and for downloading and for enjoying. I hope you continue to do so. Please come visit me over on Instagram, which is at Sabrina Joy Perozzo. Check the description box for notes for the show. Also my email address for any questions, comments, concerns, or prayer requests, feedback, topics, suggestions, whatever you want to say or tell me. But I hope that you have a fantastic Wednesday. Have a good day. Until next time, I'll see you later. Bye, guys.